Hello, I'm Melanie Silva, and today I will be presenting on the Pueblo of Laguna tribal court system. This presentation will provide an overview of the Pueblo's rich history, the structure and procedures on its court, attorney and admission requirements, courtroom protocols, and the critical role that tribal sovereignty plays in maintaining a distinct and self-governing judicial system. The Pueblo of Laguna, known traditionally as Cahuac, is the largest of the Caricen-speaking pueblos in New Mexico. It is located about 45 miles west of Albuquerque along historic Route 66, nestled in the foothills of Mount Taylor. This area has been home to indigenous peoples for thousands of years, with archaeological evidence suggesting settlement as far back as 3000 BCE and permanent Pueblo structures since at least 1300 CE. Laguna consists of 6 villages: Laguna, Mesita, Powati, Siama, Parahi, and Encinel. These communities are spread across roughly 500,000 acres that span 4 counties: Cibola, Valencia, Bernalillo, and Sandoval. The tribal administration building is located in the village of Laguna. The name Laguna is Spanish for small lake, referencing a historic lake that once existed on the reservation. This body of water was formed by an ancient dam engineered by the people of Laguna themselves, reflecting the ingenuity and sustainability practices of the community. Following the Pueblo Revolt of 1680 to 1696, which pushed back against Spanish colonial rule, the Spanish constructed the San Jose Mission at what is now known as Old Laguna. Completed in 1699, this mission, along with the nearby St. Joseph's Church, remains a prominent landmark easily seen from the highway. The church, completed in 1701, stands as a testament to both resilience and cultural blending, dominating the skyline with its iconic whitewashed exterior. The current pueblo was re-established in 1699 by Cahuac people, as well as members from other nearby pueblos, including San Domingo, Cochiti, and Zia. Built into the yellow sandstone slopes along the San Jose River, their architecture features traditional adobe and stone buildings, harmonizing with the landscape. In 1973, the historic district of Laguna was listed on the National Register of Historic Places, preserving over 100 acres of historically significant land, including sections dating back to the 1400s. Today, the Pueblo of Laguna remains a vibrant and sovereign tribal community. It maintains its traditional language, Caricen, and continues to uphold its cultural identity while engaging with modern governance, education, and economic development initiatives, including the Laguna Development Corporation, which oversees the Route 66 casino and other enterprises near Albuquerque. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed on February 2, 1848, officially ending the Mexican-American War. It established peace between the United States and Mexico and marked one of the most significant territorial expansions in U.S. history. Under the treaty, Mexico ceded approximately half of its national territory to the United States, including present-day California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and parts of New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming. This transfer dramatically reshaped the political geography of North America. The treaty defined the new U.S.-Mexico boundary along the Rio Grande and included stipulations for the evacuation of U.S. troops from Mexican territory. It also required the U.S. to pay Mexico $15 million and to assume up to $3.25 million in American citizens' claims against the Mexican government. Importantly, Articles 8 and 9 guaranteed that Mexican citizens residing in the newly acquired territories could retain their property rights and choose to become U.S. citizens. It also promised them freedom of religion, protection of property, and full civil rights. However, these promises were often unfulfilled in practice, especially for indigenous peoples and Mexican landholders, many of whom lost their lands through subsequent legal processes. Article 11 required the U.S. to prevent Native American raids into Mexican territory and to return any Mexican captives taken by tribes within the new U.S. borders. This provision was especially relevant to southwestern tribes and communities like the Pueblo of Laguna, who found themselves newly under U.S. jurisdiction. The treaty's ratification marked a major shift in sovereignty for many Native American communities, as their lands became subject to U.S. federal law and territorial law. While the treaty addressed relations between nations, it largely ignores the sovereignty of indigenous peoples who had long inhabited these lands. The Pueblo of Laguna Constitution, most recently approved in 1984 and amended in 2012, serves as a foundational legal document affirming the Pueblo's right to self-governance. Its preamble traces sovereignty back to President Abraham Lincoln's 1863 recognition of Laguna self-rule, symbolized by gifting a ceremonial cane to the governor, a tradition that continues today. The 19-article Constitution begins by establishing territorial jurisdiction, applying to all lands within the Pueblo's exterior boundaries and any future acquired lands. It mandates that all residents and visitors, members and non-members alike, must adhere to the Pueblo's constitution, ordinances, customs, and traditions. Non-members may reside on Pueblo land only with formal permission and are subject to inclusion for violations. The following is just going to be a brief summarization of the Constitution. Membership is based on lineal descent and blood quantum, requiring at least 1/4 Laguna Indian blood, with provisions of naturalizations and re-enrollment. The Pueblo Council has exclusive authority over membership decisions. Members may renounce their membership, and the Council also holds the power to revoke it for cause, ensuring a system rooted in both tradition and legal oversight. The Pueblo Council is the central governing body, vested with all sovereign powers not prohibited by federal law. It includes a governor, 2 lieutenant governors, fiscales, secretary, treasurer, interpreter, and village representatives from Laguna's 6 villages. The governor serves as chief executive and presides over council meetings. Staff officers oversee village affairs and bear ceremonial canes, reflecting their traditional authority. The council has wide-ranging powers, such as enacting laws, negotiating with governments, levying taxes, maintaining land and water rights, overseeing Pueblo elections, and declaring per capita distributions. It may also remove officials for misconduct and fill vacancies in consultation with affected villages. The Pueblo's judicial authority is vested in a Pueblo court and court of appeals, with the option to create additional courts. These courts have civil and criminal jurisdiction over all persons on Pueblo lands, including non-members. Procedures and codes governing disputes, rights of appeal, and attorney representation are established through ordinances. Disputes may be resolved informally at the village level before advancing to the courts. Elections are regulated by a Pueblo ordinance to ensure fairness and transparency, including secret balloting and absentee voting. All members over 18 can vote. Officials serve 2-year terms, and staff officers must reside in their enrolled villages. Village representatives are elected according to tradition and must also meet eligibility standards, including clean legal records. Each village remains under the supervision of a staff officer, who operates under the governor's authority but retains autonomy in emergencies. Medumas and customary officers, like the war captain, are elected traditionally and carry out ceremonial and cultural roles vital to community life. The Constitution affirms communal ownership of land. Members may receive land assignments for agricultural or residential use, but cannot sell or transfer them. Assignments can be terminated for non-use or violation of terms. Land leases for business or residential purposes must be approved by the Pueblo Council, and sacred lands are protected from development. Natural resources and water rights belong to the Pueblo, and any use by individuals or outside entities requires council approval. The Pueblo maintains a per capita distribution fund, also known as a PCD fund, initially funded with $10 million. 25% of surplus revenues are added annually, and 80% of investment income is distributed among enrolled members. Distributions are managed with strict guidelines, and any unclaimed payments revert to the fund. All major Pueblo funds are subject to annual audits by certified public accountants. The Constitution also includes a Bill of Rights, ensuring that Pueblo governance does not violate federally recognized civil rights. It protects religious freedom, subject to Pueblo law, and guarantees that no religion can disrupt traditional Laguna practices. Rights not explicitly listed are not extinguished, preserving a long-standing customs and practices. Amendments may be proposed to the council and must be approved by a majority vote, with at least a 30% voter turnout. Any dissolution of the Pueblo or liquidation of assets requires an approval from 3/4 of all eligible voting members, ensuring preservation of sovereignty and community assets. The Pueblo of Laguna Court serves as a judicial branch of the Pueblo's sovereign government. It holds both civil and criminal jurisdiction, extending authority not only over tribal members, but also over non-members who reside or enter Pueblo lands. This broad scope ensures that all individuals within Pueblo boundaries are subject to tribal law. The court system is structured into 4 divisions: civil, criminal, traffic, and a community wellness court, which provides a holistic, culturally informed approach to justice. The civil docket is extensive and includes cases involving traffic violations, trespassing, probate, housing evictions, paternity, custody and support, legal separations, and adoptions. It also adjudicates matters concerning families involved with the Laguna Social Services and hears Indian Child Welfare Act cases and those filed under the Pueblo's Children's Code. Criminally, the Pueblo Court shares concurrent jurisdiction with the United States over major crimes occurring on tribal land. It hears cases under the Pueblo of Laguna Code and conducts proceedings such as arraignments, motion hearings, criminal trials, sentencing, probation reviews, revocation hearings, and parole requests. The mission of the Pueblo Court is to uphold justice in a way that is professional, respectful, and culturally grounded. The court balances the application of modern legal procedures with the recognition of tribal customs and traditions, ensuring both tribal sovereignty and community safety are preserved. The emphasis on open communication and fairness reinforces the Pueblo's commitment to justice for all individuals within its jurisdiction. The Pueblo of Laguna Court is supported by a dedicated team that ensures a smooth operation of both judicial and administrative functions. The court is led by a presiding judge and a pro tem judge, who oversee the legal proceedings across civil, criminal, traffic, and wellness matters. Behind the scenes, the court administrator and administrative support staff manage the day-to-day logistics of the court. The bailiff ensures courtroom order and assists in the court processes, while a team of specialized clerks handle case filings, scheduling, and communications for each court division. This team plays a vital role in upholding the integrity of the Pueblo's judicial system and providing accessible justice to the community. The Pueblo of Laguna maintains a comprehensive and evolving set of laws codified in its tribal code. The code is organized into 17 distinct titles, each covering a different aspect of tribal governance, membership, natural resources, public safety, fiscal policy, and community welfare. While the full enumeration of all 17 titles is beyond brief space, key themes include membership and enrollment provisions, law and order, environmental standards, fiscal and business regulations, and public works, each reflecting Laguna's sovereign authority and cultural priorities. Each title provides detailed chapters addressing specific policy areas, like the membership and enrollment process, Title I, the Medumas and village leaders, Title II, law enforcement and prevailing wage requirements for tribal projects, environmental protections under Titles 11 and beyond, and the Gaming Control Code, Title 14, regulating Class 1 through 3 gaming and licensed operations. In addition to the 17 main titles, the code includes appendices A through G, offering procedural, financial, and regulatory support documents. Together, these titles and appendices form an integrated legal framework that supports Laguna's self-determination, resource stewardship, community welfare, and lawful regulation of governance, environment, business, and cultural practice. Attorneys seeking to practice in the Pueblo of Laguna Tribal Court must submit a formal application that includes both personal and professional information. The application requires standard biographical data such as name, date, and place of birth, social security number, mailing address, and contact information. Applicants must also provide a detailed legal education history, including the name of the law school, its location, dates of attendance, and the degree earned. Applicants must disclose all jurisdictions and courts where they have been admitted to practice law, including the dates of admission. The application must be accompanied by a current certificate of good standing from state, tribal, or DC bar, as well as character and fitness report or a letter from a bar association if applicable. Before practicing, an attorney must pay a $100 annual fee, with renewal due by January 15th each year and collected by January 30th. Authorization is contingent upon payment and submission of a completed application. Applicants must also confirm 3 required certifications. Number 1, that they have answered all application questions truthfully and understand their continuing duty to update the Pueblo if relevant information changes. 2, that they will adhere to the American Bar Association's Code of Professional Responsibility in all dealings before the Laguna courts. And 3, that they will comply with the Pueblo of Laguna Constitution, Criminal Code, tribal laws, ordinances, and court rules, and consent to the Pueblo's civil jurisdiction and attorney regulations. This process ensures that all practicing attorneys uphold professional, ethical, and cultural standards consistent with the Pueblo's values and sovereignty. The Pueblo of Laguna Tribal Court maintains strict courtroom decorum to ensure respect, order, and fairness during legal proceedings. All individuals entering the courtroom must follow specific attire and conduct protocols. Revealing clothing such as shorts, tank tops, and cutoffs are not permitted. Hats, sunglasses, and gum are also prohibited. Food, beverages, and cell phones are not allowed unless the device is needed for evidentiary purposes. Children may not attend unless expressly approved by the judge. Court participants must remain seated until addressed by the judge, and may only speak when testifying or speaking directly to the bench. Contact with inmates, verbal, visual, or physical, is strictly forbidden and will result in immediate removal from the courtroom. Parties must notify court staff in advance if they need to present documents like registration, insurance, or medical records to avoid delays during proceedings. Additionally, all petitioners are responsible for providing current address information for themselves and any individuals they are requesting to be summoned. Laguna court hearings are scheduled by case type. Mondays and Thursdays are reserved for criminal cases. Tuesdays are civil cases including workers' compensation. Wednesdays are reserved for civil and juvenile civil cases, and Fridays are for civil traffic, trespass, and animal control matters. The court structure reinforces accountability, respect, and proper case management for all who interact with the Laguna judicial system. Tribal sovereignty is a foundational principle that recognizes Native American tribes as distinct, self-governing political entities with the inherent authority to govern their people and lands. This sovereignty predates the United States Constitution and has been reaffirmed through the treaties, legislation, and court decisions. For tribal courts, sovereignty is not just a legal status, it's the mechanism by which tribes exercise their rights to self-determination, self-governance, and cultural preservation. The significance of tribal sovereignty in tribal courts lies in the ability of tribes to design and implement justice systems that reflect their unique customs, traditions, and community values. Tribal courts operate under tribal constitutions, codes, and procedures, which may differ from federal and state systems. This autonomy allows for restorative justice models, culturally relevant dispute resolution, and community-centered approaches that promote healing over punishment. In practice, sovereignty enables the Pueblo of Laguna and other tribes to define their own laws, determine who may practice before their courts, and adjudicate matters affecting tribal members and their lands. It also empowers tribes to protect sacred traditions, resolve family matters in accordance with cultural norms, and hold individuals accountable in a manner consistent with tribal ethics. Despite the recognition of sovereignty, tribal courts often face challenges related to jurisdiction, funding, and recognition by outside legal systems. Nonetheless, tribal sovereignty continues to be a critical tool for indigenous nations striving to maintain their legal authority and cultural integrity in the face of ongoing legal and political pressures. Ultimately, tribal sovereignty affirms the right of tribes like the Pueblo of Laguna to determine their own futures through their courts, laws, and leadership.